Hello, Dr. Hashmi here. Thank you very much for joining me for this conversation this evening. The topic of conversation for today is management of restrictive eating in children. I'm not going to describe what restrictive feeding or eating is, neither go into the details of the clinical presentation because what parents need to know how to manage it. If your child is restrictive in food intake, the choices of food are limited, then you know exactly what you are dealing with. Some children prefers liquid diet, some prefers specific certain things, crunchier or drier food, and a lot of times you see the food intake is restricted to just 2 or 3 items. Very frustrating for the parents. So, how to manage it? And that is what I'm going to talk about today. Now, before going into specific strategies, there are 3 things I want to mention. And these 3 topics going to be intertwined in my conversation. The first element is that the fuel to change is confidence. When we are confident, we change. We embrace change. When we are not confident, when we lose confidence, we are restrictive in our choices. So the fuel to bring change or embrace change in life is confidence. That is one concept. Please bear in mind. The second is feeling valued is an innate desire, is an innate need. It's an inbuilt need that we like to be felt valued. And the third concept you need to keep in mind is curiosity is far more stronger motivator than what we actually believe it is or give value to it. So there are 3 things you need to keep in mind. Number 1, confidence. To embrace change, we need confidence. Number 2, feeling valued is an innate desire. We all want and like to be valued. The third thing is curiosity. Curiosity is a very strong motivator. Now, how to use these 3 things in bringing change in your child's eating habits? And that's exactly what you are going to do. You are going to push confidence in your child. In children, preschool children is much easier. School children is also easier. In adults, teenagers, it gets harder. The older you get, it becomes more harder to gain confidence. in children is much easier, especially in preschool children. Now, how to make your child confident? You are not working on their food intake now. Forget about food intake. For the time being, just give them whatever they want to eat. Because you are bringing change from a different angle. If you are going to pick a fight on food, trust you me, no parent can ever win their child or children. You cannot win because you have inhibitions, you have limitations. You can only go that far. Children don't have those things. They can drive you to quite a bit of an extent. If you pick a fight with your child, especially psychological fight, a battle, I'm going to eat this, now I am not going to give you this, etc. You are never going to win. You are going to lose. So never pick a fight. You want to bring change in your child's food intake, forget about food. Do a few other things and you will see the food intake will change. The choice of foods will increase and your child will surprise you the amount of things the child, him or herself, will demand and ask to eat. So the first thing you need to work is building your child's confidence. How you are going to do it? A very simple technique. Positive remark. First thing when your child wakes up, and the last thing your child going to bed. You are going to give your child a positive remark, something to boost them, something to make them feel good about themselves. First thing in the morning and last thing at night, they must hear something very positive about themselves when you are settling them for bed. And in the morning, they must hear something really nice when they open their eyes. Why am I saying that? There is a huge science behind it. Our mind, our memory systems, our psychological processes works on an effect which is called primacy and recency effect. The simplest example most psychology books mention is, if I give you a list of 10 items to go and get it from the supermarket, by the time you will get there, you will remember the first 2-3 items and the last 2-3. What would happen to the middle 6? Gone. That's what happens with mind. If you give someone a very positive remark, first thing in the morning, when your child opens his or her eyes in the morning, the first thing goes in their ears is a very positive remark to boost them. And the last thing they should hear is a very positive remark when you are settling them for bed. What would happen? This technique is very simple to practice. Anybody and everybody, all parents and caregivers can do that. And you will see your child's confidence will shoot up. I always say that your children need 150% confidence before stepping out of the house to start attending school. Because their first interaction with the world is basically school. And that is where they will be challenged. They will be challenged by their peers. They will be challenged by studies. They will be challenged by their tasks. They will be challenged by timetables. All these things. The teachers will challenge their cognitive abilities to learn. What would happen? They need the currency of confidence to survive that change. They need confidence to embrace change. And the technique I have told you is the simplest and the most straightforward technique, and you will see with time how much confidence your child will gain. They'll forget whatever happens during the day. Whatever happens during the day, they will forget. The thing which will remain fixed in their minds. And if you are doing it every day, that will become a permanent fixture of their minds, that how important, how good they are, how positive they are. And that boosts their confidence. And that is what you need. You need the currency of confidence for them to embrace change. Just focus on their confidence. Don't focus on their food. Diet is restricted. We know it's restricted. You don't want to make it an issue. Just focus on their confidence, first thing. Number 2, feeling valued. Now, before describing the need to feel valued, I give you an example of a simple classical psychological experiment conducted in 1930s by a psychologist called Harry Harlow. He experimented on little monkey, I think a very baby monkey, and he made two moms. With one mother he made was of a very soft cloth, and one mother he made was of wire and quite uncomfortable, physically quite uncomfortable. But then he hanged the bottle of milk with an uncomfortable mother. What he observed was that the baby monkey was going to the wire and uncomfortable mother to have milk, and the moment he had finished with milk, he had switched on to the softer mother, and he stayed with the softer mother, the cloth mother, the fluffy mother, as long as he started becoming hungry again. And then he went, had his milk, and came back. Now, over the years, this experiment has been interpreted many, many times. And the main gist of it is the contact comfort, that the child needs to be comforted physically. But in a broader sense, if you look at it, why do you need comfort? You need comfort to feel valued. You need comfort. You like to be hugged. You like to be touched. You like to be held. For what? To feel valued. So when it comes to your child, focus on your contact, the level of comfort you can provide to the child, the hugs you can provide. Children usually have the need to feel pressure. That is usually children's sensory need. They feel more comfortable if you hug children and make them feel as they are attached to you, a bit more close to you. Because that is their need. That is their sensory need. So contact comfort is integral to feeling valued. Now, all the psychological research being done to date, they have reached to 2-3 basic conclusions. The first conclusion is, it is the quality that counts, not the quantity. You can be with your children 24 hours 7, and if you are a critical parent, if you are a shouty parent, if you are a parent which make child uncomfortable of your presence, then your presence better not to be around. You better ask somebody else who can look after your child, and you could do something else. It is the quality that counts. You might only spend half an hour with your child, but that time, that specific time, got to be for the child. Not to scroll on your phone, not to take telephone calls, not to do something else with the child. Child is not going to feel valued. If the connection is not there, would you blame child to feel valued in this situation? You are with your child doing something else. Then, or doing 3 different things, and you are making child to feel as you are a parent looking after them. Do you think children are fools? Trust me, children are far more intelligent and perceptive and receptive than the credit we give to them. Their antennas are far more sharper than others. And that is the truth. If you want to give time to your child, it got to be value time. It got to be quality time. And that is when your child will feel valued. So what you have done, you have given your child confidence. You are making your child feel valued. Now this value is going to develop a relationship with you. And that relationship going to bring change. Remember that. Now, if you pick a battle with your child on food, and if you try to impose change because you are more in power or through your control, trust you me, you will fail. And I tell you why. Just give you an example. When we are angry, what the first thing we do? I'm not having food. I'm not going to eat food. I'm not hungry. Every household story. Husband and wife have an argument. One of them will decide not to have food. Why? Then look at individuals with eating disorder. And I'm going to talk about something serious here. Eating disorder in its extreme form is often associated with childhood adversity of a nature or an incident or an event when the child had felt total loss of control. Food, controlling food is the simplest thing we could do with the biggest impact. If someone asks me, what is one thing which is very simple to do with the greatest impact, I would say food. Because restriction of food makes everybody anxious. What you can gain by controlling your food intake, you cannot gain otherwise. This is the fact. Now, when children are born and start growing up, they like to use their powers like everybody else. Like everyone in power, in a position, when you are in a position, when you have a power, when you are given a power by a system, whether physical, psychological, or cognitive, you are going to use it. If you are cognitively powerful, you are going to create something out of this world. If you are physically powerful, you are going to express your physical strength. If you are administratively powerful, you are going to make sure that people know that you are in power. Yeah? Why a child would not do that? Simplest example is that when babies start to grow teeth, when they start teething, what do? They bite. As a parent, it is not unusual for you to carry a wounded shoulder or in some instances wounded shoulders because your children or your child has started teething. That is natural. Children, when they get power, whatever power they get, if they get speech, they're going to talk. When they get the power to walk, they are going to run. If they get the power to throw, they are going to throw. And that's where they break items at home. They'll go pick a dish and throw it on the floor because they can do that. That's their power. Now, if a child is restrictive in their food intake, look around, try to find out where is the source of power, where is something where they want to express their power and they're unable to do. Now, if you balance in probability, that is it better for a child to break few toys but not to restrict food? Or is it better for the house to remain clean, tidy, all toys absolutely intact, but the food is restricted? Would you let your child to mess everything around the room? Because in babies sometimes, if we control them too much, the first thing they do, they go into episodic constipations. They start controlling their bowels. Now, some research shows that too much control when they're baby, which has led to restrictive bowel movements, could lead to obsessive compulsive disorder later on in life. So there are links. I'm not saying that everything is an absolute. Psychological theories are not always absolute. You can't have an absolute psychological theories. But a lot of things do make sense. Let your babies, let your children, let the little ones express themselves. They're only going to express themselves within the safe environment of their homes. And because they will feel that their power is expressed up to the level of their satisfaction, you will not see them using food to control, to express their power. So what we have done, we have not brought food into this conversation. We are working on confidence building, inducing confidence in your child. We have worked on them feeling valued, contact comfort, and let them express their power. Let them be curious as much as they want to be. What the worst would happen? They are in their own homes. They're going to throw a few balls on, break few things. So what? Let them do that. Because that is their power. As a parent, your powers are greater. You have options. Nobody in this world, in this living world, can have a reasonable day without expressing their power, one way or another. It is not possible. Expression or expressing your power in some way keeps us normal, as far as it's not excessive, as far as it is within the acceptable social norms. Now, these social norms, accepted social norms, are a bit slightly loose for children. But on the other hand, their options to express power are limited as well. Means they might break something. They might throw a ball and, on the television or something. They might throw their clothes on the floor. They might bring their toys and just scatter them on the floor, and you wanted the floor to be tidy and clean. But that's the pleasure of being parent. Let them do that. Because if you control them, they will find a way to control you. Trust you me. And you will struggle finding a solution if they bring their control into play. And restriction of food choices or restrictive choices is part of it. So look for any other option which you might have restricted for your child. Let them express their power. You are not looking at their food. You are just letting them to express their power elsewhere. Power is there. Control is there. You just need to give it a different exit. Now, every household is different, every family is different. So this is something you need to think at the very local level, at the very domestic level, to see whether this is applicable and what is there to apply, to use. Yeah. Then I said curiosity. Don't directly say your children to change food. Don't impose anything. The basic message is, you impose, you fail. Don't impose anything. Let them be curious. Now, I want to discuss the mechanisms for positive and negative reinforcement. And I tell you what these psychological theories are. But when we are working with children, these principles are very relevant. They become very relevant when we are working with children. Positive reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is that you encourage, appreciate, gift your child, make them feel valued, boost their confidence, give them a lot of hugs and love when they do something good, because it is used to enhance the preferred behavior. Negative reinforcement is to take a pleasure away to stop a behavior. Simple example is that if a child is in a habit of screaming and the child loves to have an iPad to watch something, you take the iPad away saying, when you stop screaming, I'm going to give you your iPad. That's negative reinforcement, that you are taking something away but linking it to reduce the propensity of a behavior which you don't want to occur again. Yeah? But the positive reinforcement is that you appreciate your child when they do something good, because you want that specific good behavior to increase. Now, let's set the negative reinforcement aside, because this is something I personally not entirely comfortable to use, because it can cause further complication if you want to modify your child's behavior and dealing with their food choices. Let's focus on positive reinforcement. Now, with positive reinforcement, you are going to use their curiosity. You need to establish the food your child likes. Can you make something similar? Because sometimes children are quite particular the way food feels in their mouth. Now, there are 4 things we choose our food to use. There are 4 things in any food choice based on 4 things basically. 1, how the food looks like, the physical appearance. Now take an example of 3 years old. A 3 or 4 years old wouldn't really have that cognitive appreciation of the way food looks. That's true. Then the way food smells like, means it's an appetizing smell. This is again for children not a huge thing. For adults, yes. For children, they have not reached that stage where they actually pick and choose their food the way food smells. That's why children's foods which are available in the market, they don't really look great to parents and they don't taste great to parents. Means I have experienced all these, so I know. And they don't really smell brilliant a lot of times. So because that is the way it is. And the same goes with taste. Because children, let's say example of a 2 or 3 years old or 4 years old, they have not tasted that much of the food choices. So they wouldn't even know what taste of food they can actually base their decision on. So for children, everything boils down to the way food feels inside their mouth. And the feeling of food is very sensory business. Now, you can overcome and extend these choices by using their curiosity. Don't push them to have food. Give them what they like to eat to start with. It means you are not working on food. You are not picking battle on food. But bring foods which are similar either in appearance or in texture. And you will see that their curiosity, lot of times children don't feel comfortable to try something new. That goes back to my initial part of the conversation, that to embrace change, we need confidence. Hence, my very first suggestion: make your child feel valued first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And that element, that feeling valued, makes them good about themselves and boost confidence. In confidence plus curiosity plus feeling valued, an expectation of appreciation when they try something new, in combination, change their behavior, change their attitude towards food. You will see their food choices will improve even when you have not even done anything. You have not picked any battle on food with your children. You have not asked them to change. You have not lost your sleep on that. You have just worked on their confidence. You have made them feel valued. You have invoked their curiosity. And you have found something else relevant to them to express their power. And once their power is expressed elsewhere, they will not use food to express their power. And this is the way you need to change your child's relationship with food. I know it feels like as parents are under treatment than their children. That's exactly what happens. To bring a change in your child's behavior, the parents got to change their behavior. Otherwise, change never happens. This is the way you got to bring change. Change yourself, your child will change. Don't make these things an issue. You make it an issue, the child will start getting attention from a root where the child should not get an attention. Hence, you are indirectly reinforcing a behavior, and the child will continue, because that is when the child is feeling most important by not eating the right food. Just don't make food an issue. Focus on what I have explained to you in this video, and you will see your child's relationship with food will change. The choices of food intake will improve. That was the topic for today. Thank you very much for listening. I'm grateful that you are finding my conversations useful. I'll be back on Wednesday evening with my conversations on core mental disorders, and hoping we are going to complete our conversation on depression as what we started last week. Thank you very much.